Hello, 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 everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful Thursday wherever you might be viewing in from. Welcome to Keeping You Wise by Keeping It Real, where we bring authentic and real conversations to fuel the soul that you can share with others. Welcome to our 21st episode, where we will discuss Stuck on Repeat, Why We Don't Release. My name is Paula Bell, and this evening I am flying solo, no pun intended. Solo is not able to join us today because he is imparting spiritual wisdom to individuals at Bible study. So our work continues in many different environments and in many different ways. And though he may not be here in person, he is definitely here in spirit. But before we jump into the topic, I have a couple of disclaimers like I always do. I am not a therapist and I will not offer any medical advice. I am not trained, qualified, or able to diagnose or treat any form of mental illness or disorder. And some topics may be triggering. So please note that we don't always know where a topic may go. So please feel free to make space for yourself and exit out and enter in as you deem fit. The purpose of this video cast is to have real and authentic conversation that provides wisdom to all. So please interact with us via the chat. We would love to hear your comments. And if you have questions, post them in the chat as we may be able to answer them directly. Also, make sure to subscribe to Keeping You Wise by Keeping It Real on YouTube and follow up with us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so that you know when we get notifications when we go live. Now, let's jump right in. This evening, I am happy to have two special guests with me that are going to have a nice little conversation on why we get stuck on repeat and why sometimes we just don't know how to let go. I have my good friend and author, Glow Rose, who is joining us. And then I also have my sister. You mess with her, you mess with every part of my being. Matoya Woods, who is joining us as well. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
You are more than welcome. Well, first, how y'all doing today? Let's start with that. How's your day been today?
It's been long, but it's good.
Okay.
Keeping it glowing, keeping it glowing.
Yeah.
I like that. Keeping it glowing. That's a good play on words. I like that. I like that. Well, hopefully we can keep glowing as we have a conversation that I personally feel is needed. And as we are entering into March, the third month of the year, is a very, I feel, relevant topic to talk about as we are continuing to go through this 2026 journey and go through our year. And that's being stuck on repeat. And so when you all hear that phrase, being stuck on repeat, what does that mean to each of you personally? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
So for me, being stuck on repeat is not changing your vibe. Sometimes we get stuck in this one space for various reasons. It may be our past, it may be our present, it could be fear, it could be just uncertainty. And we just get stuck. We don't take chances, we don't explore. And for that reason, we look around and wonder, why is this the life I'm in? Why have I not tried this or that? But we don't actually change anything to look at those opportunities, to make to try that new travel, maybe go for that new job. And so stuck on repeat for me is being stuck in the space.
I'd agree.
Like
being stuck on repeat for me is that as well, being stuck in a space. But I think that that space most of the time is a space of fear and being frozen, just for the lack of maybe faith in a certain space to move forward, or the fear of rejection, whatever it may be that is causing you to kind of stay stuck in that space. That's kind of what it means to me.
So as you talk about that, Matoya, that's a good segue into something that I was thinking about too. Why do you feel, or why did you either of you feel that, or maybe you may not feel this, so you tell me, but why do people often stay in painful or limiting patterns longer than they should? So you mentioned fear being one, but let's go a little bit deeper. Why do we stay in spaces that don't serve us?
I would say for me, I can speak for me, but in the past year and maybe 6 months now, I've done a lot of work around what is holding me back, what are some of the things that I'm repeating over and over again, and how my neural pathways are working. And so I think that for me, the fear is just really a response that's triggered from something that's a little deeper. That is just a neural pathway response for me. And I think it's that way for a lot of people because we have that freeze, fight, or flight. Not many times do we go to the relaxed state when we have trauma or when we have opposition, whatever that opposition reminds you of. I think our body generally goes back to that space right away.
Okay. What do you think about that, Glo?
I would completely agree. And sometimes it can also be from the actions of others. You know, a lot of us give a lot of ourselves to complete items at work, to complete face challenges throughout life. And people's reaction to that can be so negative because either for one reason or another, maybe because you did excel and maybe they didn't, or because it could be jealousy, it could be envy, it could be any number of things, but their negative reaction, unfortunately, then attaches to us. And so now when a next opportunity comes up, maybe we don't take it because we feel like we don't deserve it, or we don't take it because that reaction is stuck in the back of our minds. It traps us, it freezes us. As you said, so yeah, it's just, we don't feel like we can move forward because maybe we don't understand and we haven't done the work to break down why that happened and free ourselves from it.
Yeah.
Okay, now wait a minute now you speak in my language because you said something right there that got me started, right? We don't take the time to understand ourselves, right? And I feel that is a way fear can be disguised as a level of comfort, because we'd rather stay in our comfort than address the fear or address whatever that limitation is as we work on ourselves. But some people are just scared to work on themselves. Some people just don't want to really see who they truly are. And that in itself is such a limitation because you're hindering yourself from being free, number one, from being free, from being able to execute, to navigate, to fulfill your purpose, to do all of those things. So I want to ask both of you all a question, because both of you all have mentioned this. You're doing work. You talked about neural pathways, Toya. Glo, you've talked about how you've worked on yourself as you've done things. What made you all decide enough is enough? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I want to work on myself. What was that turning point for you?
For me, it was a recent job. A boss that had seen potential in me had actually told me I should pursue an opportunity, but I was so afraid that I almost talked myself out of this job for negatives that I've had in the past, for different experiences at other jobs, for other people's jealousy and envy. And so the fact that I almost missed a great opportunity that I'm now enjoying made me think, enough, to your point, enough is enough. Why did I almost pass this up? Why did I not take this chance? So since that opportunity and I was blessed with it, I've been working on myself to say, what is going on with me that I thought that was not an avenue I should have taken.
How did you work on yourself, though? What are some of those steps? And for those who might be listening live, look, you're just not going to sit down here and listen to all these gems now. I'm going to need y'all interacting with us now. I need y'all to drop some knowledge as well. What have you done? If you've worked on yourself, what have you done to work on yourself? But Glo, if you don't mind sharing, what are some steps you took to work on yourself? And then Toya, I'm coming to you next to hear your journey.
Absolutely. So my voice, I've been working on my voice. When I get that fear, get that nervousness about speaking up, I'm actually asking myself, why are you not saying what you know? Why are you not sharing your knowledge? Yes, I could be wrong. Yes, someone could know more than me. There's nothing wrong with that. But I still should speak up. I should still pursue. I have value. And so I'm working on recognizing my value, recognizing my voice, and taking opportunity to stand up and say, I'm here. I bring something to the table. And yes, people should listen. It's still a journey. I'm still in it, but every single day we take another step to be a little stronger in that voice.
How about you, Toya? What has your journey been?
So for me, I had been struggling, and Paula, you've known me for so many years. You've known a part of my journey and the struggles that I have had with my weight, with just doing career things, just really embracing who I am as a person, and then romantic relationship wise, some of the issues that I've had, and I think the straw that broke the camel's back for me is when I got laid off, because then I realized that my identity really wasn't my own identity. I was wrapping myself in another person's identity, not embracing my own value. And then on top of that, then I had a breakup right at the same time that I lost my job. So it was really a traumatic time for me to deal with rejection and to deal with the feeling of not feeling adequate in spaces. And that thing is so strong. If you don't address it, it will lead you into some spaces that you don't even recognize yourself in. The thing that kind of pushed me to go and get help was I found myself literally when I was in the relationship thing, I literally was like letting myself into somebody's home without permission. And I'm saying it that way because that really is not who I am. But I was so distraught at what was done to me that it triggered something in me to walk outside of my body and really disassociate who I am at that time. And I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew something was not right. So immediately when and God is so good, when I was in the middle of going through this scenario, the person that I was going through it with, sometimes the Lord will use an ass's voice to tell you something. He was like, "You're being triggered." And something clicked in me. And I said, "You're right. I'm being triggered." And I got in my car and I drove home. And when I got home, I literally started looking up what I was experiencing online and trying to get help for myself overnight because I knew I needed more help. But I just needed something right then to help me to know that what I'm going through has validity. And then once I knew that, then I was able to reach out for the help that I needed. And I ended up going to a therapist by referral. And what ended up coming out of that is that both of the things that I had happen to me triggered a very deep-seated, rooted rejection that I had from childhood. But that also did not make me feel worthy of good. And being around people that served me well. I was okay with being around people who treated me haphazardly or acted like I was just a happenstance in their life. So I think for me, that is how the journey started, and just recognizing where those things are coming from and then doing the work to try to recognize it, acknowledge it, and then be able to self-regulate when that is triggered again, because now I know and I have the power.
So you both said a whole lot there. And so I'm going to be vulnerable too, because I'm not just going to have y'all put all your stuff out there and me not say something too, right? So Matoya, something you said really resonated with me. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because, as you all have heard me say, 2026 is a year of shift for me, right? It's a year of shift for everybody. And my word this year is rich. Be rich in 26. And rich, it has a lot of dynamics to it. As I've been reflecting back and really being real intentional this year on who I surround myself with, who I partner with, and those things. One thing that has come up, let's talk about relationships for a minute, because as I was growing up, I didn't make some of the best decisions on who I got in relationships with. Okay. I mean, I think many of us can ascribe to that, right? However, it seemed like every time I was in the relationship, so when I'm in a relationship, I go all in. Right. I'm all in. I'm in it for the long haul. I want the thing to work. I am loyal. I'm dedicated. I know that we're not always going to be 100% all the time. You might need me to help carry some load, or I might need you to help carry some load. I get that. The whole thing about relationships, right? But Toya, something you said, when you keep going through relationships where you're the one who's giving all of that, and it's just your nature. It's not that you're doing anything extravagant. It's just truly who you are. And you're not getting that reciprocated back.
Yeah.
And it keeps happening over and over and over again. It's chipping away at you, and you're being bit by bit by bit. And depending on how you take that and depending on how you interact with that, everybody does it differently, can bring out some behaviors and actions, to your point, that may not be the greatest. But I literally had to sit down. This was just something I did in January. And Tori, I haven't even talked to you about this yet. It's just something I did in January. And I literally sat down and I thought about, I have been hurt a lot in my life. When I tell you, and I mean the hurt that, when you have that heartbreak, you have your first love and they break up with you, and it's just like, you just think your whole life's going to fall apart. You're going to die. Nothing's going to ever be right again. that, right. So imagine having that like 5-10 times, right? Not only in relationships, but in friendships, and letting that keep happening. And I started to think about, dang, I have been hurt a lot. I've gone through some things and still am today. There have been some people who I thought had me. Unfortunately, I had to find out the hard way they didn't. Right. And that stuff does hurt, because if I'm going to call you my friend, I'm ride or die. I'm going to rock hard with you. I'm going to give you everything I got. But once you betray me, or once you hurt me to a point of making me look at you side-eyed, I'm done. I let that go, right? But I still realize, doggone it, I'm still damaged. I mean, I had to be real with myself. I am still damaged. I still have moments where that hurt comes back up, and I'd be like, dang. And it gets triggered when somebody does me wrong. Or I feel like, and I don't know if anybody else who might be listening to this, or you all, I sometimes feel like people want to, for some reason, they don't want to be there for me when I'm going through. But once I elevate, all of a sudden you want to give me unsolicited advice. All of a sudden you want to tell me how I should talk and how I should act and how I should behave. But you weren't there when I was struggling. You didn't support me like I supported you. You didn't know that smile I had on my face during that time, I'm crying on the inside because I'm hurting and I don't have anybody else. You weren't there for all of that. But as soon as you see me elevate, you got the audacity to come up to me and start trying to tell me what I need to do and how I need to be and all of that. And I was dealing with all of that in January. I'm going to keep it 100% real. I was dealing with all of that in January, trying to figure things out. Right. And so, and I needed to, that's part of my process, right? You need to go through, you need to acknowledge, you need to figure stuff out. I do a lot of self-reflection on myself. I look at myself first. But when you all talk about that, I almost feel like our identity, and you all can tell me how you feel about this as we get into the emotional and psychological pieces of it. Our identity is tied back to some of the things that happened to us in our past.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
If we don't identify that and acknowledge that and deal with that, that's where you have this thing of what we think is comfort being really fear or unrecognized or untreated trauma, which keeps us in this space of being on repeat in this vicious cycle, and we don't let it go because it's comfort. And sometimes you don't want to let it go because you feel if I let it go, I'm losing something from letting it go. So I don't know, what role do you all feel that identity plays in keeping us tied to the past based on your journey, what you've been through?
Well, I mean, Paula, you touched on it. It's the nag, it's our identity. And actually, Toya, you touched on it too.
Mhm.
So when we deal with those things in our past, the relationships that don't work out, the betrayals, the jobs, when that stuff happens to us, especially if it happens to us with very little reason, like we did a great job at our job, so we can't understand why we were let go. We
Mhm.
did everything that person asked us to do in the relationship, friendship, relationship, even with our families, we thought we did everything we were supposed to do. And for some reason, that just was not enough. That latches onto us. And sometimes that becomes our identity. Not from anyone else's perspective, from our own.
Yes.
And so now when we see ourselves in the mirror, we see all the negatives or the rejections or people's reactions towards us. And that causes the fear, that causes us to stay where we are, to be comfortable, that causes us to even shrink. Shrink is kind of my word for the year because I'm trying to stop doing that. So that's my word for the year.
I like that.
Mhm.
So to your point, when we find that as part of our identity, it makes it difficult for us to try for other things. And so how do you get past that? Toya, how do you get past that?
You know, what I have noticed is the things that caused me in my very vulnerable state of youth, those things kind of wrote a DNA on me for rejection. And I'm not saying in the way I am is technical, but those things, those experiences where people rejected me or I didn't know why they were doing what they were doing to me. Now that I'm grown and I know some of it was because they just were jealous of me. And that was the only reason that they didn't like me. It wasn't anything I did to them. It was that they just didn't like who I was. And I didn't have enough understanding of who I was to recognize that. But now that I kind of know those things, and not to deter from your question, Paula, about that being my identity. Yes, it is. It's still my identity because those things made me who I am. But those things actually are helping to make me a better person right now. So, I mean, yes, it plays a part in our DNA of who we are. But here's the best thing about it is now that we understand, we have the power to use it for what we want to use it for. And I think that's the optimal word here is the power, because once we know who we are, or you didn't know you had such great eyebrows, but everybody was telling you, oh, your eyebrows are too thick. Or, they were telling you, oh, your butt's too big, but secretly they want a big butt too. Sorry, Paula. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that on this.
Girl, this is unfiltered. You can say whatever you want to say. It don't bother me.
People teasing you about things like that, your features, but secretly they are wanting those same features that you have and making you feel bad all the while about those things that you can't control. And so for me, what that did is it made me go into depression and always looking in the mirror and saying, I'm not good enough. I need to do this. Oh, my clothes fit to this. And I'm buying bigger and bigger and bigger clothes because I don't want it to touch me in a certain way. And guess what? Then I start growing into those bigger and bigger clothes. So it's a bad cycle. It's a bad cycle. But yeah, it does make us who we are.
So that also is a great segue into something else that I think is really important. As you all talked about your journey, you acknowledged where you had areas of lack, where you had areas of positivity, success, where you had challenges, whatnot. Where does forgiveness play in this? Because I know I had to forgive myself for some of the stuff that I said to myself and some of the stuff that I did to myself and some of the stuff that I allowed to happen and some things that were out of my control that happened that didn't have nothing to do with me that I was holding on. I had to go through this process of forgiving myself. And not only that, forgiving others who they don't even know they've been forgiven. Right. So how has forgiveness played into this for you all as you go through this journey of letting go?
Well, for me, forgiveness, it's been a process, because I can't say I thought I was the one that would always just forgive. But then what I've noticed is, yeah, I've surfacely forgiven, but not deeply within my heart forgiven, because sometimes my therapist had to point this out to me. Sometimes we carry resentment. That is what she said, that's a cousin to envy. And that right, it made me say, ouch, like I'm one of my
Gotta write that one down. Resentment
right.
is a cousin to envy.
Right. And so I was just like, okay, so let me think about that a little bit more. And I thought about the things that I resented, and it was because I hadn't really forgiven them, but I was envious because they didn't experience what I experienced. So that made me still unforgiving. You see?
Mm-hmm.
I am learning something today. That is a perspective I did not have. And so, okay, I'm going to take, I hope you don't mind, Toya, I'm going to take that one away from today.
You do what you need to.
Because I might need that one. But for me, forgiveness is still, I'm going to be honest, something I'm working on, because Toya, to your point, they did not experience what they put me through. They did not experience my perspective. So they don't know the hurt they've laid on me, which is a weight. Mm-hmm. And as I work through my own journey, I do feel myself letting go of that weight as I have a better understanding of what it did to make me who I am today and why I need to forgive. I'm also realizing that because I didn't realize it was a weight on me. I didn't realize my shoulders were slumped. I didn't realize my chest was heavy. I didn't realize my heart was heavy. And so as I understand myself better and understand those actions better from others, I find myself really feeling lighter. I find myself, my voice, as I told you, my journey is about my voice. My voice is louder. It's more powerful. It can speak. Whereas once before, it could not. So for me, forgiveness is about just getting that off of me.
Yeah, forgiveness is one of the hardest things, right? Because you might think you've forgiven, and then something triggers, and you're like, no, I really didn't forgive you for that. Or now you've forgiven, but now I don't even trust you no more. So there's a awkwardness of trying to navigate that relationship. Do you all feel that when we figured out why we get stuck on repeat, right? We figured out there's a lot of things that can cause us to not want to let go. It could be fear. It could be comfort. It could be we don't want to forgive. We want to hold that space. It could be all those things, right? So when you think about release, do you feel that release is a moment, a process, or maybe both? It depends on the scenario. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both, depending on what it is. There are some things that are harder, that have to be worked through to release. You can't, things from childhood, things from, again, that place of, I don't understand why this happened. You can't just snap your fingers and release that. You need to understand it. You need to work through it. You need to let it develop inside of you. So one, you don't lose it. Because some of these things that have made us, we don't necessarily want to lose, for the simple fact that it taught us lessons. It gave us understanding. It gave us the power. It gave us the strength to deal with the next thing coming in the future. But at the same time, we don't want to hold on to the pain of it. And so I believe it's both. Sometimes it could be a release if it's something that's a little bit lighter, just maybe a little hurt. Those deeper ones, it's a process.
Yeah, I would echo that as well, because some of the things that I am trying to release now, I'm working through it. I think it's just continual work. Even if you go see a therapist for a little bit and then you take the things away, because it's not, they misunderstand when you go to a therapist. They think, oh, you're going just to sit on a couch and talk to somebody. And no, you're going to go get tools to empower you to walk away, to work on things that need to be resolved in you, and so that you can release. I think for me, releasing something for me is a process, and that goes with knowing you. I have noticed about me, I am not that person that can say, okay, I understand. I'm just using something. I understand you don't want me. Okay, bye. I'm not that. I am the person that is like, okay, I understand you don't want me, but can we talk about it? Because I need to understand a little bit more about why you don't want me. What did I do? Let me get a little more information, because see, I need to process all of this. Okay, there's a healthy and an unhealthy side to that. And so getting to the space where you are in the median area with that is where a person wants to be. For me, I know that that's my process, and it is up to me to manage being on the healthy side of that and not being on the unhealthy side of it, so that you can walk yourself into a release, because then you'll look up and that won't bother you anymore. And that's how I know when I've released something, because I turn around and I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice that happened. Yep, because you released it. So
Toya, can I dig into that with you a little bit? Because
yeah.
I think I feel the same place that you're coming from with that one. So when you say it no longer affects you, it's I call it the nag in the back of me. And if I may be frank with you, I'm in therapy as well. I love her. But the nag in the back of the head, when it bothers you, it's that nag that's giving you all that negative energy, that's giving you those negative thoughts, those negative confirmation that should not be valid anymore. And that's what you're working. Oh, I love it. Okay, I feel the same way. Absolutely. Yep. Because it's that past. It's those things that have latched on. I'm right there with you. Okay.
I believe in, so I have very deep roots in the church, and I believe that God has given me a voice to speak, and the things that I have gone through are for his purpose, to help to minister to his people. But I have always said unto the Lord, I never want to minister to anybody in a broken space. And so I need to do the hard work. So I'm not before people broken, but I am walking in freedom, and they can see the application of the word, see it in life being walked out, and actually know that this has changed about a person. So
I got a question on that though. So, I brought up in the church too, you and me, right here. I feel sometimes it's good to see you broken.
I do too.
In a way, because that shows that you're real, that no, I don't always have it together. I'm broken as well. I do agree. You have to watch the ministry aspects of it and who you're ministering to. But I personally think, this is just my personal opinion, that for those of us who were like really just pretty much in the church day in and day out, the reason why some of us are in therapy right now is because that what was taught in the church right, caused some trauma too, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Because we were always told, well, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of a strong mind. We strong, we this, we that. Okay, we are, no doubt. That is a part of it, but we're also human.
Yes.
And there's also aspects of us that need to be worked on because of our lived experiences. And the two of them, to me, complement each other. You can be, we're seeing it. We have seen spiritual giants who have now, and because of the world of social media, things are a lot more easily accessible. But we are seeing giants who have said, I need a mental health break.
Yes.
I need to go to therapy. I need to work on me. I've poured so much out to others, but I've neglected myself. And now I need to go through things as well. And I appreciate that, because that shows the human side. We all have things that we go through, no matter what role you or title or where you might be as far as stature, socioeconomic, it doesn't matter. We all go through things, and we should have spaces to do that. And I love what you said, Toya, when you said that therapy is not just sitting on a couch. It's giving you tools to empower you to be the change you want to see. It's giving you those tools to help you release some of these things that don't serve you, so that you can continue on living out your purpose, living the fulfilling life you want, doing those things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What do you all feel, whether from your own experience or from people who you've been around, What do you feel is the first sign that someone is ready to let go? They're ready to release.
I'm going to say tears.
Okay.
Sometimes you can see in a person when they feel something, and it's not even that they're sad, but something in them just is ready to let go. Something in them is like, I need this gone. I'm ready to get rid of this. And so I'm going to say when they have those tears, when they have that moment of just, okay, I'm done. And maybe they haven't let it go yet, but I'm done with this. Okay, I can't do this. Okay. And it hurts to let go because, again, that's probably something they were very comfortable with. That's something that they have gotten used to. But at the same time, their body, their spirit, their heart just knows, I can't keep letting this go on like this.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, sometimes it was tears. Your body and your mind is trying to tell you something that maybe your heart didn't realize.
I would agree with the tears, but I also would agree. I think tears are very much the beginning stage of that. Because I feel like for me, when I would cry, sometimes it was my body's reaction to knowing it needed a change. It's my reaction to knowing you need that change. But then when your feet line up with what your body is telling you, because when you could cry, and this is not for everybody. Some people they don't like to cry, and we're not crying, and we're gonna do something about this. But for some people, crying is what they know to self-soothe, like a baby, right? They don't know how to self-soothe, so they cry, right? But some people need to cry first, but they need that straw that breaks the camel's back. In some instances, there are hard learners out here, and I was one of them, very hard learner. And I didn't get what I didn't get until I got knocked upside the head to get it, because my level of pride was shaken to the core. And I had never been in a situation where my pride was so hurt that I couldn't even get out the bed. That's how I stayed in the bed for days at a time. My brother would leave and go to work, and he would come back at night, and I would still be in the bed. And so for me, that is what told me, your body has had enough of this. You must change. You must do something to change this situation, or you won't be around. And that's how I knew.
That's deep. So it's for you, it was really life or death.
Mm-hmm.
It really got to that point of, if I don't change, I'm just going to stay in this state. And I understand that, because I had a point in my life where I was the same, where you just don't want to. It's almost like you're so tired of fighting that you don't want to fight anymore. You're just exhausted.
Agreed.
Of just fighting internally, as well as externally, but you're just tired of the fight, and you almost feel like there's no one there to help. You're being just swallowed up by the circumstance. And so I totally 100% agree with that. What would you all say was your hardest realization as you went through the process? So, and the reason I asked this question is because, Matoya, you just brought up pride, right? Mm-hmm. Pride being that thing that you just didn't want to let go of. Your pride was directing how you were moving. What was that thing that just was the hardest thing that came in your face? And you're just like, whew, this is rough. I don't know if I'm ready to deal with this. I don't know if I want to deal with this at all. Have you had any of those moments?
You said I'm not ready to deal with it, or I.
Mm-hmm. It's so daunting and so big that I'm just like, I would rather avoid it than deal with it. But you have to deal with it, though, because if you don't, you're not going to get to where you want to get to. But it's one of those things that you look at it and you like turn away. Okay, you go back. Okay, I got the strength now. I'm gonna deal with it. Nah, I'm good. no, I'm good. And then it's that thing that just keeps coming that was a real huge barrier that you had to get through. What was that thing and how did you get through it?
I think me being honest, completely honest, when I decided to go to a therapist, actually being completely honest about me and my circumstances and not caring about how I was looked at that time. That was so hard because I had gone to many therapists before and I still had not really let go of everything about me. But this time, I let go of everything about me. And that, I think, was why I got to this point right now. But before, I never wanted to tell them about an educator locking me in the closet day after day at school. I never wanted to talk about that. But then I realized something clicked. You have to talk about that. Because you've been stuck in the closet the whole time. So.
For me, it would be that I am enough and that the things that have happened to me in the past were not my fault. I'll be real. I'll get deep with you. I've said a lot of that thing latching on to you and making that your identity. That stuff made me. And so, like I said, that opportunity, other things in my life, I just said, no, I don't deserve it. I'm not enough for it. And that has been the hardest thing in my journey because as I work hard, people see me work hard. I don't see it. People see me try. I don't see it. People say good job. I don't know why. So I am enough. And that stuff that happened was not my fault. And I'm still traveling that journey to keep to that thought, if I may be honest.
So, Glow, I hope you don't mind me sharing. And if I do, just say, shut up, Paula. I won't be offended. I won't. I really won't. I really won't. So, Glow, I've been a part of your journey. Actually, I've been a part of both of y'all journeys. I've been a part of a lot of Toya's journey because Toya's been a part of a lot of my journey too, of things that have happened to me, right? I remember when we had the conversation, when you and I were talking. I don't remember if it was a year ago or whatnot. I remember Lord, we met somewhere. I'll be meeting so many people. We met somewhere and I was like, okay, we're going to do a free consult. So we're going to get on this call and we're going to do a free consult. Now that consult did not go nowhere where we thought it was going to go because what you signed up to talk to me about, we never talked about. I don't think we ever got to the topic because you were really struggling at that point in time of you feeling you were worthy, just worthy of compliments, worthy of accolades, worthy of recognition. And I remember having a conversation with you and we were talking and it was like 45 minutes or so. And I was just asking you questions and you eventually was just breaking down, right? And you were beginning to peel that onion, right? All those layers, some of them were shedding. You were starting your process, and it is a process of that. And knowing that, again, the things that were out of your control, they were out of your control. It is not your fault for those things that were out of your control. For some reason, we have a reason of holding those things in and taking it on as if it's our fault, and it wasn't. Mm-hmm. You at that point in time didn't deserve what happened to you, but the guilt and the pattern and the rejection and all of that keeps happening over life, again, all that stuff starts to stack up, and then it's a buildup, and you actually start believing the mess because that's what you're hearing, right? Mm-hmm. You start believing. That's why I'm really huge on when people are speaking to you and using certain words, don't allow people to use words that don't serve you over you. And don't allow yourself to speak those words over you either, because words do manifest. Words have a lot of power. So if you keep saying, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, at some point, you're going to believe you're not enough.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And even if you don't believe that you are enough, if you keep saying, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, at some point, your brain's going to click and you are going to be enough. And so I watch that process with you. I tend to have sessions where people shed tears all the time as a part of release. And some people can't handle that. Some people can't handle watching people shed tears. I can, because to me, that's a form of release and something that you need to do. When I start crying, though, you better run. But I
Lord,
I don't
yes.
cry often. I don't cry often.
That'll scare me.
Right? If I start just bawling and crying, something's really going on. But there's something to be said to that, where you can be vulnerable, because I can guarantee you, we're going to record this today, February 26, 2026. Somebody might listen to this 2 years from now, and they're in the same space either one of us are in. And to see that we've made it and we've went through things is amazing. So I'll say something also about you, Toya, that's amazing, right? So Toya and I have been friends for the longest. It's going on like 2 decades now. We've been friends. I consider her a sister. Her whole family. I mean, but we're all just adopted, right? So we're really close. I've seen Toya go through some things. The one thing that was really interesting to me is when, and you said a little bit of it today here, is when you opened up about image and body image, right? So when I look at Toya, the one thing I would always say, dang, I wish my skin was all smooth and stuff like Toya, and I wish I could beat my face like she does, and it'd be looking all good and natural and stuff, right? Not knowing that she didn't always see herself that way. Not knowing that she didn't see herself as that gorgeous beat up face, that queen, that she has all this internal torment and body image stuff that she's dealing with on herself. And I'm here thinking that, you got it together, because you be coming out like you got it together, all put together, all nice and whatnot, not knowing that the person is breaking up on the inside. Right. When we had that conversation, I'll never forget it. It was in Chicago. When we had that conversation in Chicago, when we traveled, I was like, shut the front door. You lying to me. I didn't believe it. I was like, for real? That's how you feel it. You just don't know what people are going through and how they feeling.
If I could, though, just meeting you today, you're gorgeous. I mean, your skin is flawless, and I love your smile. I'm like showing gums over here, and I'm like, look at this beautiful smile. And so that's why I'm like, what were you talking about?
But you know what? That's how people will make you feel. And that's how I grew up around people, adults and young people, who made me feel like I was not worthy. And they always picked out the things on me because I was bigger than all the rest of the kids, but I was developed early. And they would pick on me and make me feel ugly. And so they would say nasty, mean jokes about me. I never told my mom, because I knew my mom she would go off. But I never told her, because I was like, people are just mean, and I'm just gonna learn how to deal with it. But I didn't realize it was tearing me up on the inside at the same time.
Because sometimes we think we can handle. We're told to be strong, right? We can handle it, right? And we don't realize it's 1,000 cuts. I know what you mean. Yep. I get it.
And as far as how we go out on the outside, I feel like we are conditioned to go out the door like everything is okay and just put on a face, which is why I got into putting makeup on my face, because I wanted a different person. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't want to see the person that I knew. But then I started getting all the compliments about how well it was done. And then people then started asking me to do this, and then they started competing. So then that brought on a whole nother set of issues. So it's just, you never can win, and you definitely have to be confident with who you are. And Paula, I'm doing this contract, right now. And one of the things, thank God, that I am able to do is to remind myself, you say what you need to say. Don't worry about what anybody thinks about it. Your worth has been established when you walk through this door because you have a certain skill set. If they choose to listen, they choose to. If they don't, you're walking out in a couple of months. So on to the next. And that's
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because people out here will really make you get in a chokehold.
Yes.
Of thinking that you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's because they're jealous. They just wish that they could do what you do. And that's one thing I do want to say on here too. I've had quite a few people say to me, Paula, you do too much, or you have so many different aspects of your business, which I do, or you're in a lot of different spaces. Why are you so worried about what Paula Bell's doing opposed to what you're supposed to be doing?
Yes.
I mean, not all of us have the same level of energy. Not all of us have the same assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of us have the same purpose. All of us play a role in this thing in life. We're all part of this play, and we're all part of this. We're all on this stage, and the level of competition right now for people just trying to compete with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what you do, somebody gonna have an issue with it. Somebody gonna have something to say. And what's really irritating people right now, and I'm loving it, y'all. This is how I'm letting go this year, and I'm getting some freedom. I don't say a whole lot. I let people say what they gotta say. Paula, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. Okay. I'm still gonna do what I know I'm called to do, whether you want me to do it or not. You're not. Who are you to tell me what I need to do? Right? I have my advisors. I'm not arrogant. I'm not conceited. I have people around me who will check me. Toya's one of them. Toya's checked me a few times, right? Where she's had to tell me some stuff. I didn't like it, but it is what it is. I mean, it's the truth. If it's the truth, it's the truth. Yeah, I'll be in my feelings sometimes, but then I'm like, yeah, that was right. Right? It's I have the people that I trust, that I know have the best intent for me around me, that really encourage me. And the other people, I appreciate you providing me feedback or saying whatever you need to do. But if it's not serving, to your point, Toya, I walked into this door because of a certain reason. I bring a certain, whether it's a skill, whether it's a talent, whether I'm just supposed to be in the room, not saying nothing, but just in the room. I'm in the room. Let me move and then go on. I've realized over the last couple of years, I've gotten it more where people really are trying to tell me how I need to move, which says to me I'm doing something right because y'all can't understand how I'm moving. And I'm cool with that because this is my journey. You have your own. If there's anything I can do to support you, I'll support you. But because of my lived experiences in the past, and that is a part of my childhood where people tried to dictate everything I did, and that caused me trauma, I can't let that in right now. You're a distraction. I got to push you out because I did the work to let go. I'm not bringing it back in. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of energy. So I appreciate it, but that's not what's serving me right now. And I have to know when you go through therapy and when you go through those things where you're getting those tools and techniques, you really do get empowered and understand how you need to move. And how you need to interact. And there's going to be people who are going to be upset with you because they don't understand why you're moving the way you're moving. I'm moving the way I'm moving because I've let go and now I have peace, and I don't want anything to disturb that peace. And if you can't respect that boundary, then we're just not at this point in our lives. Our season is over. The chapter is closed. It's time to move on. And it's okay. It's okay to do that. What's not okay is to keep living this facade that other people have put on you that you know is not really you, because you're not giving yourself the space to really do the work that needs to be done to not be stuck on repeat.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. And that's the thing. And when you get to that point, you really begin to value yourself more. You really begin to value your voice more, who you are more. That makeup now is a compliment, not a facade. It's not a mask, right? It's truly who you are. It's just a compliment to bring out your true beauty. But all this other stuff, yeah, it's over. because look at the world we live in right now, y'all. Look at our young people. Look at what
Yes.
they going through.
Yes.
We don't have time
No.
for this these adult shenanigans because we're gonna lose our youth if we don't get it together. So if that's therapy and coaching, if that's letting go, you got to do what you got to do. So in our last 5, y'all, before I wrap up with final thoughts, what is one piece of advice? You all have been through this journey of a lot of different things, and you're still going through the journey. So one thing we said today too, we're still a work in progress.
Yes.
So the work isn't done. We're all still going through the journey, myself included. What is one piece of advice you want to leave with those who are watching right now or may view this recording at a later time?
I would say find a starting place. Sometimes, depending on what you need to work through, it's hard to know where to even start. Which topic, which hurt, which trauma. Just pick one. It could be the smallest one, it could be the biggest one, but find one and start from there. And once that one's gone, go to the next. Just don't let yourself stop until you feel you've achieved that piece.
I love it.
I would say be true to self. Be true to yourself, who you are, who you think you are at the moment. Be true. Because if you are not, then you are not giving yourself the opportunity to let things unfold and for your true identity to actually stand up. Sometimes it takes us to acknowledge these are the things that I feel right now. One thing that I did a lot of is I don't feel worthy. I don't feel adequate. I don't feel loved. I don't feel pretty. I don't feel this. Whatever that is for you, acknowledge it. But when you acknowledge it, it's either you take the steps to do something about it, whether that is going to a professional to talk through those things and figure out where exactly that's coming from. If it's true, if it's not true. Or if you are just the type of person that you want to pray about everything, then that's a great place to start too. Go ahead and do it. But I will tell you that it takes work. So be prepared to work, but be honest with self.
I love all of that. And I will also add, to wrap it up, that sometimes the hardest chains to break are the ones we've learned to live with.
Yes.
But healing begins the moment we stop asking why this keeps happening and start asking what we're ready to release. Because your future isn't waiting on time, it's waiting on your courage to let go. So let's stop being stuck on repeat and let's release, even if that means it's going to look a little bit different as you go on this journey. Glo and Toya, how can people keep up with you? If they wanted to connect up with you, further have conversation, just follow you, see what you got going on, what's some ways that they can connect up with you?
You can visit my website, glowrosebooks.com, or you can follow me on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, Glow Rose Books.
So I am not a big poster on Facebook or any of that. I think right now I'm just on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I'm under my name, Matoya Woods. There are people out there who have duplicated me on Instagram and TikTok, I believe. But on Facebook, I have a picture of me and my dog. So if you find me on Facebook, that's where I am most of the time. I will reply to inboxes. I do that frequently. People reach out to me for different things. I have coffee down in Northern Vessel. If you're in Iowa, nice. I'm always open to go down and get a green tea and just chat it up. I like to do that in person thing. So just reach out to me.
And Matoya is an awesome singer. She didn't add that part, but I'm just going to throw that in there, as well as I show the deets for following us, keeping you wise by keeping it real. You know how to get to us. Hopefully Solo will be joining us next time. This has been a great conversation, ladies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope those who were listening enjoyed this episode. If this conversation sparked something in you, please share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, whether it's your partner, whether it's your friend, whether it's your inner circle. Share it with someone. Thank you for engaging and listening. And to keep the conversations going, please subscribe to our channels and turn on notifications to know when we go live. In addition, please leave comments, as we would love to hear from you. Remember, Chris always ends it with, for each one, reach one, and teach one. When you know to do better, when you know better, you do better. So let's continue to do better, and we will catch you all next month.